Please state your name and address for the record. First up is Ana Olivia Palazzo.
Good evening. I miss being here. It's been a while. But good evening, Chair. Congratulations, Nancy. I hadn't been here since last. And Superintendents, Sandy Huskin, Board of Directors. I really am feeling sad and disappointed tonight. It feels like we've gone way back in time. Some of you weren't here at the beginning when the Budget Advisory Team first started in 2003. And it seems that everything has gone in a circle in history, and we're back. Not clear at the beginning, I hope, but nearly. There seems to be more of attention and a stonewalling about ESL issues with the ESL funding that we've talked about for years. I know that it feels like a public relations nightmare whenever we want to talk about it, and with lots of other factions in the city and the state, but especially in the city, that don't want to hear anything about ESL students. But if you look at the pages, the one that is, well, both of them, but the one that is the simple one-pager, this was from 2004, which we worked on from 2003 to 2004 in the very first year. And almost every one of these recommendations were put together by, not almost, all of them, for very talented people. Some of them whom you know from the past. A few of you were even on that, I think, at the beginning. Anyway, the recommendations were really good. I see just about everything on here having been done. Some of the greatest changes in some of the technology, all kinds of stuff came from some really, really intelligent, talented people. And then there was this one recommendation. It went year after year after year, which is the create and implement a tracking system to monitor the use of the 0.5 ADMW funding allocated by the state for English as second language students. And that recommendation continued each year in various forms, very close to the original. The next document I gave you is a really full explanation of all the past history about this issue that has come forth every year. And we've basically, feel like the community has really stepped back in the last few years with the budget crisis. It's like, okay, we know we're working hard, the scores are going up a little bit, we've really worked on professional development, we've got this plan in place, be patient. But the time goes on and the time goes on, and I really don't, I'll never forget the first year. Am I almost there?
You're at time.
I'm out of time. Well, that's terrible. Anyway, I think you get the point. We're back at the beginning. We haven't got a communication in place to communicate what ESL funds are spent on. Questions by parents and community are not answered. And I think it's a political issue. I don't think that there's any reason why it can't be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent Husk. My name is Miguel Salinas. I'm an education advocate. It was exactly 40 years ago at your old superintendent's office building, which was right by the railroad tracks off 12th Street, I believe, that I came before the board, and along with many, many parents, to advocate for programs to benefit kids who were here in this country for the first time, or for kids who have been here many generations and have not acquired a decent enough education. I have also been involved with the Oversight Committee. You may or may not have the history. Around the year 2000, we had an Oversight Committee made up of committee members, employees, and part of the leadership. So my testimony this evening is not off the cuff. There's plenty of documentation to back up what I say. And first and foremost, let me thank you for the service you give to the Salem community. I also can't help but seeing and noting the fact that the people who are in charge of policy seem to be not representative of the community. That's not your fault. That's just an observation. As you engage in your strategic plan, let me suggest to you a couple of things. One, recently, the new superintendent, Rob Saxon, has made a point about the programs that we have for the largest minority population in the state who are not making the mark. That is, the achievement gap continues to grow and grow. A few years ago, the majority of the school districts had no idea what bilingual ELL education was, but came Measure 5. And it may surprise you that thanks to the efforts of Don McIntyre, we ended up with Measure 5, and the outgrowth of Measure 5 was a 0.5 differential that was supposed to benefit the ELL students. Sadly to say, for the first 10 years, most of the school districts did not comply with the spirit of the budget, nor the law, as it's stated on page 13 of one of the documents by the state of Oregon. So as you proceed with your strategic planning, and again, I think you have a lot of work to do here and outside the board, I hope that you can arm yourself with the information, the baseline information that you need to have so you can not only look forward, but also look back and see if indeed the progress is being made. In the handout, you have an overview of my vita. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You also have an academic chart that dates back to 1998. I would encourage you to take a look at your academic chart of 2012 and see how that compares. And as I close, I also would like you to keep in mind that the people that we're talking about here, whether it be minority people, non-minority people, ELL student population, they don't have the power base. Quite frankly, you know that, and I know that. They just don't have the power base. But they do rely not only on the law, but above all, they rely on the ethical minds, the ethical actions that you take with respect to continuing to work with the diverse population in this beautiful city.
Yes, Sandy asked, member of the board, good evening. My name is Wright Solis. I live on 2690 5th Street, Northeast Salem, Oregon, 97301. Tonight, I will speak a little bit on behalf of the Chuukese community. Chuuk is part of the Federated State of Micronesia. The state include Kosrae, Pohnpei, Yap, and Chuuk. 4 of the states have different language. The Chuuk community in this beautiful city of Salem is growing. And the Chuuk community in the school district are struggling. And tonight, I like to ask the board member to recognize or consider the kind of services, for example, tutoring, mentor, interpreter, or any program or any services can help the Chuukese community in the school to improve their grade. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Benny Williams. I'm the president of the Salem-Keizer NAACP, and I'd like to read a statement and then make a comment. The Salem-Keizer branch put a news announcement out earlier this month, trying to give the community a sense of where we are as a organization. Part of the news announcement read as such: our workplaces, schools, and neighborhoods must show more receptiveness to all of our citizens. When we have a school district that acts autonomously from the parents and interested members of the community when it comes to curriculum, disciplinary actions, fully integrating our sports teams at all levels, we have a system that is not serving the entire community. When there does not exist a representative face of the community in the district's offices, administrative levels in the schools, that is principals, assistant principals, in the classrooms, be it teachers or teachers' aides, and at the counseling level, we have a large body of the student population being left unable to see where a good education can lead them. We can have a district outcome where the valedictorian coming out of the 8 high schools can reflect the diversity of our community. But without having a sense in the classroom of teachers and aides representing the faces of the students that's in the classroom, I think it's more difficult. You know, our education system is all about leading into the workplace. In the workplace, we have to have those successful Salem-Keizer graduates of all races be reflected in our banking community, our major businesses, charitable organizations, and the government, both local, county, and state, as these entities exist. Those successful individuals need a chance to be mentored in understanding how to take the academics of the classroom and applying them in the real world. Right now, you'd be hard-pressed to go to any of our businesses and see faces of the minority communities. I want to add to this that as I sit here and listen to the program that had the PowerPoint presentation about the mentoring that's going on in the schools, you know, there's something lacking when those faces that spoke on the PowerPoint presentation are reflected and are, I shouldn't say reflected, are faces of just 3 white women, very frankly and very honestly. You look at as I sit in the audience and I look up at the board here, I see faces that is a complete contradiction to what we see in the audience right now. Look at the faces in this audience. It's more diverse and it's more reflective both in ethnicities and in gender than what's reflected on this board right now. What I'd like the board to understand is that there's a way for us to have programs and have successes that reflects the concerns of this community. And I think at this moment that is not absolutely being the case. The NAACP is coordinating with other organizations in this community to bring forward emphasis on this board recognizing that there are some issues, not just in the classrooms insofar as academics are concerned, but in the faculty and in the administration of this district being a reflection of this community. It's important to us, and I think it should be important to you all, that we have a much more, you know, we talk about transparency, but this is really about simply doing what's right. As we move into this almost halfway through the school year, and I sit here and I talk with people coming into our meetings as well as just in general, there's a concern about the same old being true. That we've got these monies that we're arguing about whether they're being administered correctly and properly, but we also have issues with the students themselves not having a reflection of the faces that they have in the classroom that will inspire them along with the academics to be successful. And I certainly intend to look forward to working with the board and with the superintendent to see how we can do a better job of this, because right now, look around this audience, I think this is one of the bigger turnouts tonight, and it's a reflection of concern by this community, not just the minority community, but this entire community. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Randy Viatoro, and I'm here today in support for better transparency in how our school district spends its dollars on ELL and the ELL program. I believe this is an important issue because I value the ideas of integrity. Integrity is something that we value in leadership. Now, when we look at a school district, who a lot of you guys are elected positions, that's the one thing that you guys have going. And when you lose integrity, there is nothing left in that leadership. And when we look at the outcomes at our students, we may be in first place in the state, but when we look at nationally, when we look at the Latino graduation rates, we are fourth worst in the country. Now, it's like saying we're number one at being fourth worst in the country. Now, what's important about tracking the ELL funds is making sure that our students are getting the best they can to not only succeed and graduate, but also succeed in college. I've seen countless of students who've graduated but aren't even ready to succeed in college. And it's a sad thing when you see ELL students who graduate from high school and they have to take English classes and writing classes just to catch up to be where all the other students are. So a lot of students aren't entering in writing 121 or writing 122. They're playing catch up. They're paying out of their own pockets, their own money, just to catch up. And when you look at our school district is getting $20 million, and we don't know how that money is being spent, that becomes a question of integrity. So today I ask the school district to do a better job of being more transparent with the funds. The truth is important. And sometimes we as a community have to deal with that truth. And sometimes the truth can be ugly, but it'll be at least a step forward in basically being realistic about what we're doing and what our community needs to do to succeed. And we do this for our kids. That's what matters. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hugo Nicolas. I came here I came to the United States when I was 11 years old. I went through the ESL and EL program. I attended Kennedy Elementary, Claggett Creek Middle School, and McNary High School, which I think McNary is the best high school ever. That's for the record. So I think integrity is a very important thing. And what Ramfis was saying, this is a very important principle. I know this may be a big challenge for you, but the challenge is how can we work together in order to overcome these things. I'm not saying when I went through the ESL program, it worked because obviously you can see me here speaking English. But the thing was that some students didn't get what I got. When I graduated from high school, the thing was that after my freshman year, I was done with the ESL. But that's because I realized that when I was doing some of the ELL classes, that wasn't going to be part of my credits. And when I graduate, that wasn't going to be any of my credits when I will graduate from high school. And that's when I realized that I had to step up. So I started taking honor classes. And I noticed that a lot of my peers were staying behind these classes. I don't know what the reason was, but that shows that there's an issue. When I graduated from high school, I realized that I was writing, but I wasn't writing at the level that businesses were asking, that our workforce was asking for. I think something that we have to understand is that we need to face these challenges, and let's face reality. I know sometimes being truth may be hard, but that's the only answer.
Good evening. My name is Paul Crissell, and I live at 1675 High Street, southeast here in Salem, just a few blocks away. And I just wanted to make a couple of observations. First of all, I am a member of the Salem-Keizer NAACP board and also the CAUSA board, which is Oregon's Latino Immigrant Rights Organization. Part of the reason for that is when my family first came here 17 years ago, it seems like it was just yesterday, my wife and my daughters, Katie and Susan, came here. I knew we were coming into a community that was not as diverse as other communities we had been in, but it really struck me when my 8-year-old daughter, Susan, after we'd only been here for a month or two, looked at me one day and said, "Daddy, how come there aren't any black people in Oregon?" And I realized then that she had, if an 8-year-old sees that she's in a situation that's not as diverse as she was, there's something to pay attention to. Now, my daughters did great in school. I'm a member of the dominant community. We know how to navigate the school system. We know how to advocate for our kids. They did great. They did wonderful. Over those 17 years, I've seen Salem-Keizer become more and more diverse. And to me, that's exciting. The salad, the rich salad that is diversity, that diversity brings to us of different cultural experiences is something that my family's just embraced and loves and adores. At the same time, as a member of the dominant group, as a white man, I'm not aware of, and wasn't aware for a long time, of the barriers that are created for students of color and families of color in all of our institutions. And I think it behooves us as members of the dominant society to really understand that we don't understand all the barriers that people face in our institutions. And we have to affirmatively go out and try to find out what those barriers are. How do we do that? One of the ways we do that is through an affirmative engagement of community, not just waiting for community organizations to come and give input, but to affirmatively reach out as a board, as a district, and try to engage broad sectors of our diverse community, to try to understand what the barriers are. And even knowing that for those of us in the dominant organization, I don't feel intimidated to come and raise an issue. I know how the system works. But we need to understand that for some of those students and parents, it can be very intimidating to come in and state the barriers and state the problems that people are facing that we're going to be unaware of. And we may even reject that those barriers exist because we didn't experience them. But we have to go out and engage in that affirmative community engagement. So one recommendation I would make is to look for more ways, and increasingly creative ways, to go out and engage with the communities of color in Salem to try to figure out, through the eyes of parents, through the eyes of students, what barriers there are that we need to overcome. The other thing I would say, it has to do with the point that Mr. Williams raised around retention and recruitment. I think that we need to do a much better job in this district of not only recruiting faculty, classified administrators of color, but also encouraging retention. I understand that's been a problem in this district, and we need to improve. So retention and recruitment, we need to grow our own. We need to affirmatively go out and try to build a workforce that's reflective of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Crispin Ogo from 3228 Halsey Avenue Southeast, and Dr. Husk and board members. Let me just share to all of you that are present this evening the Micronesian Islander community. We founded this nonprofit organization less than 2 years ago, and for reasons such as like this, where we can be involved as Micronesian community. And in this organization, we have 8 island communities that are currently participating, and they are the islands of Guam, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, where I'm from, the Federated State of Micronesia, which is the island of Chuuk, Pohnpei, Kosrae, Yap, the Republic of Palau, and the Republic of Marshall Island. Those 8 communities within our organization, we tend to look at issues that may affect our community in general. So as I stand before you, since Thursday last week, I did some research through your website and came to the Department of Translation. I contacted the number that's available online, spoke to a few individuals, and realized that we do have over 200 students under the ELL program. And thanks for that information. Now I can go back to our community and say, hey, we need to look at an issue that is also part that is within our community, and we need to address this. And I just want to mention that without the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equality, to bring this up to our organizations, we won't be able to know what was going on in the school district. And I just want to say that as time goes, we will learn, and I appreciate Dr. Husk earlier this evening for inviting our community to visit her and talk more and try to understand what is really going on with the program. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Hello, board members. Good evening. My name is Virginia Falcon Vasquez. I go by Vicky. I live at 5185 Verda Lane, Northeast in Keizer. And I currently reside in Keizer, and I've been living there for already almost 13 years. I come before you professionally and also personally. I coordinate a community youth group called Latinos Unidos Siempre, or LUS, in Salem. And I'm also a mother of an 8-year-old that attends Kennedy Elementary. And I'm here, as you can see, as a concern with my youth's education and also my son's education. I always encourage them to dream and pursue their dreams. And I always tell them they're going to college, you're going to college no matter what. And so there's encouragement and there's motivation, but when they go back to school, there's nothing for them. They're placed in a system that lacks resources and lacks the desire of diversity. Our English language learners and our students of color need to be treated with dignity. They need to see role models that look like them and appreciate their culture, which is their identity. I was in ESL once, and I was placed incorrectly. And until I was in middle school, if it wasn't for a teacher that believed that I could give more, I wouldn't have been removed from that program. So as Hugo was saying, how can a student go from ESL to honors classes? And if it wasn't for that teacher that took me out, then I would have been left behind. Those stories keep repeating itself. And I keep hearing, I felt I didn't belong. I felt dumb. I felt marginalized, segregated. We need a plan that is inclusive. The parents can help and that the community can also help. We need the right information, we need the right teachers, and we need the right resources. Yesterday, we were remembering Dr. Martin Luther King, and many were saying, I have a dream. I want my son and my youth to make that dream become a reality. We need your help, and you need ours. Let's work together for our children's future, to close the achievement gap, to have more graduates of color, to value everyone as a human being. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Haas, cabinet members, and our community. Thank you for coming out. We all live in this city because it's the best place to live. Don't we? Don't we? Our civic leader, Dick Winnell, keep telling this to anybody that he gets in front of. And we're very proud of living in Salem, having our Salemites, and we are going to continue living in Salem. We're not planning to leave anytime soon. When I look at this strategic plan that we have been developing over so many years, we started developing this strategic plan that we had now 2012-13, 13 years ago. Over 40 testimonies at this board asking for us to be part of the solution of the endemic achievement gap that was plaguing our schools. and we did. As you have in front of you, in the past 13 years, we have the community of the poorest have gone out of this community to get funding to develop programs to support our school district. Develop an annual parent conference of over 1,200 parents. Never before. For 12 years we had that parent conference. Develop a McKay Area Coalition for Student Success. Invested over $5 million with thousands and thousands of hours of volunteers. Programs like you see in your packet for youth development. All these youth here, we have several of them that are coordinators of their own programs. Had Chief Justice De Muniz, Chief Justice Edwin Peterson, and Justice Walters as their coaches. Over 15 attorneys supporting them. They went just to the state conference for robotics. We have shown our commitment to our community, to our families. We have paired ourselves with all the work that you do as volunteers and for the work that our cabinet and our teachers do all around the school district. All that until Dick Winnell dared to say, we need accountability. We're going to put all these resources, we're going to create the McKay Area Coalition for Student Success, but we need to know where the kids are. And at that moment, we became outcast in our own community. We became your adversaries, because you're our elected officials that represent our sons, our community. To hold a lie that is supposedly legal, because we said we need those fundings to follow the students if we are 40% achievement gap. I'm not comparing ourselves to Beaverton or to Portland. They don't have what we have here. All this commitment of all these parents and all these community leaders. We are different. We're striving for being the best for our kids, not to be 40 points behind and celebrate. There's no reason to celebrate. There's a lot of work to be done, and we've been doing it along your side. So for us to feel and to find from others that our reputation is being muddy after we've been helping here and 8 other Latino communities throughout Oregon, and we're not worthy of you to partner with your community, we have a problem. You know, we celebrated Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day yesterday. We inaugurated our second term, our Black American president that serves all Americans. But for us, we're outcasts. Slavery was legal at one time. This is a form of slavery that we are all pretending that is ethical and that is moral. It is not. To protect the ones that had the most resources to do well in school, so they can be in the 80s, in the 90s, in reading, writing, and doing math, on the backs of the ones that are farthest behind, is a crime. It's a crime. And none of us should tolerate it. We have to find a solution for what's happening in this division that has been created just because we're saying, no, this cannot continue being, because we're putting everything we have and more. When are you going to start meeting us halfway? Listen, this is a question of character, okay? My wife and I, we have served this community for the longest. We have here dozens of people that have been serving for the longest, tirelessly. We do not deserve it. We deserve, like we give you the highest honor of serving us, or representing us. We're people of quality. We deserve the best. And we live here because this is the best place to live And we're gonna make our schools the best schools, not just from the bottom up, the worst of the worst, but the best of the nation. And we're putting our work where our mouth is.
Good evening. My name is Aurora, and I live at 260 Strand Avenue. I'm here to advocate. I'm a community advocate. I'm also a retired Salem-Keizer teacher, and I'm a grandmother of 12 Salem-Keizer students that attend Grant, Bush, Leslie, South, and North. And so I'm here to advocate for English language learners in the way that they're instructed, by advocating for the bilingual, bicultural teachers that serve these students. I also want to thank the parents that are here, because without them we wouldn't be here having these conversations. I am blessed to have been able to retire from Salem-Keizer, and because of the students that came to our district. But many bilingual, bicultural teachers don't get to do that, don't get to experience that, because something happens in their journey through our district that they feel pressure to leave, or they leave for other reasons. But when they leave, we all lose, because we spend a lot of money. I mean, Salem-Keizer, as you noticed in the videos, trains their teachers well. We provide a lot of support for our teachers. We mentor them, we support them, we give them professional development. We put a lot of money in our teachers and our staff for them to leave. That's not fair. Not fair to our staff, not fair to the students, and not fair to our community. So I was saddened by an article that came out maybe about a month ago in the Statesman Journal that said that English language learners failed to learn English quickly. And it hurt my feelings, and it hurt my heart, because I have been a teacher of English language learners. And I know that all kids can learn. What it should have said Salem-Keizer District fails again to teach English language learners. So we need to not blame kids, but to look at what we're doing. And one of the areas that we have probably lacked is the hiring of bilingual, bicultural teachers that are from the minority communities where these kids come from. We know that kids learn best when they're taught by teachers that understand them, that know them, that can communicate with their parents, that can make those connections between school and academics and their home experiences. And that's the kind of teachers we need, because those are the kind of teachers that can communicate with those kids. They not only need teachers, they need counselors, administrators, special ed personnel, support staff, PE, all the kinds of teachers. I was looking at our demographics in our district, and it said that Latinos make up 38% of the population, while only 7.2% are administrators from Latinos communities, 6.72 licensed staff, and 16.85, okay? While it's 38%. Here are some things that I would like to share with you of things that are happening in our district that you may not be aware of, that maybe we need to check to make sure. Although these actions are perhaps legal or not illegal, but they're unethical and they're happening in our district, it's a cry for help. There seems to be a bottleneck in the hiring process where Latinos apply and they're not asked to come for interviews, or when they come to interviews, they don't get the positions. There's some ethnic cleansing practices that are happening where people are removed from previous positions through ending or changing a title and then not qualifying for those same positions. As evidence, we used to have a Latino in the cabinet. We no longer have it. We used to have a big community gathering conference where thousands of people came together, teachers, administrators, and community members came, and we shared a day of learning. It doesn't happen anymore. Stop the push-out practices where we transfer teachers to places where they're not going to be successful and they're going to be in toxic environments. And then remove the glass ceiling that blocks the promotions of Latinos into leadership, mentoring, and specialized positions. We need to develop an advocacy group. Our parents, inform them so they can become your advocates for our district. We are a great district. We need their voices. Implement ongoing meetings and procedures so we can understand how to implement conflict resolutions. We used to have an equities committee formed of leaders, teachers, and staff that looked at conflicts and found solutions. We no longer have that. We need ongoing cultural diversity and awareness sensitivity. And we need to come together to educate and congregate and share our lives. Thank you so much for your work. I know this is hard work. I'm sorry that we come every time and we share our needs, but this is the only way and the only time we get to share with you. Let's make some more meetings where it's not a school board meeting, where we can continue sharing our needs with you and you can hear our voices and we can hear yours. Thank you very much and have a great evening. Thank you.